Hello all. Welcome to this joint webinar between CISARC and Legality. While we wait, we'll just give everyone one more minute to join. Just a few house rules. The spoken portion of this webinar will take about 30 to 35 minutes. And after which we will throw the floor open for an open question and answer session. However, if at any point in time during the webinar, you have any questions, do drop it in the Q&A box. You will also receive a recording of this session within the next 48 hours as along with the webinar deck. So in case you know someone who would be interested, you can send this across to them. Quick introductions. I'm Aditya, Head of Marketing at Legality, and today I'm joined by Gayatri Krishnamurthy, who is Vice President of Product and Innovations at CISARC. Gayatri ma'am, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Really looking forward to it. So I think before we dive into accessibility, we need to spend just a few minutes on the wider context of digitization to establish why accessibility is important in the digital process, right? Because digital processes today, in theory, are seen as an enabler of access to credit because they are supposed to enable lower lending costs and easier penetration in remote areas. And this trend is leading to a rapid evolution in lending. And Gayatri ma'am, I'll bring you in here to speak a bit about the trends you are seeing in lending. So how have you seen loan origination and lending in general evolve in the last 5 to 10 years? Previous slide. Yeah, sorry, this slide. Yeah. Ma'am, yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Aditya. And yes, as you mentioned, yes, there is a lot of evolutions. I would say the lending landscape is undergoing. When you say how it is undergone, yes, it is undergone, and it is a continuous process. It's undergoing evolution, and we have been in this domain industry as CISAC have been in this domain for around 30 years. And I would say, especially in the last 10 years, there is a major shift towards digitization. Yeah. So we have seen this loan origination actually evolving from, see, it's all previously it was all branch centric, like manually all activities being done at the branch, manual paperwork and all that. From there it moved on to how much of automation that can be done within the branch. So for applying for any loan, you have to go to the branch. Now that is changed. Not everyone has to go to the branch to apply for a loan now. So loan is accessible anywhere, anytime now. From there it moved on to loan application being made accessible through mobile tab applications, through WhatsApp, through IVRs, to SMS, through all channels. So it's undergone a tremendous shift. So digitization, we are talking about digitization. While we are talking about digitization, there is another wave of evolution that is coming into the lending. Lending is marching into the era of AI. Yeah. When we enter into digitization, we said we are reducing all kind of manual verifications using all fintech services provided. Yes, now as we are speaking, it's again moved into the AI. So there is a lot of evolutions. These are all kind of technological evolutions. Similarly, there has been a lot of push even from the government, especially in India, a lot of policies that are involved, so that lending is becoming more inclusive. As you said, accessibility is the key. How is that we can take this lending accessible to everywhere, see everyone, all sectors of the society. So there is technological push, technological evolution, as well as policymakers are giving more policies, which is making it more accessible. Aditya, you're on mute.
Since you mentioned policies and things like that, so what areas do you think, before we dive into the specifics that we're going to in a few minutes, what do you think are the broad areas accessibility focus for lenders today?
Yeah, so we are saying that yes, there is a considerable shift and we have moved towards digitization. Yes, as we are implementing this digitization, we do see there is a gap in providing these, all these access to, when it comes to certain sector of the consumers. Say, for example, small entrepreneurs, or there is a small, say, for example, a dairy farmer. All these kind of consumers who actually do not have a documented say income, that is a kind of formal financial footprint that they have, which actually was used in which actually is used in lending. So if you go for a loan, yeah, first is that are you salaried? If you're salaried, do you have pay slips? What is your ITR? So there are a lot of such checks. But when we go to such sector of consumers who do not have such documented financial footprint, it is leaving these people to go actually and be reliant on some high interest and informal channels. So these gaps have to be addressed. So when we say these gaps have to be addressed, yeah, this has to be addressed both from the process perspective, as well as we have to leverage all the technology that is available to make sure that lending is accessible to this sector. When we say, from the process perspective, in my opinion, what I am trying to say here is, whenever it comes for any kind of, say, for example, small token loans, yes, the process or the workflow for processing an application should be changed in such a way that it is not reliant on, see, like kind of heavy checks like BSA, GST, ITR, but use alternative sources. Say, for example, for UPA transaction, or if there is a dairy farming, say like the milk pouring chart, all these have to be used. And technology can help here in terms of providing all these APIs and data access. These should be used from the lenders, so the lending can be made accessible to such sector of the society. Yeah. So from technology end, then yes, let's take the banking to the customer's doorstep. So make more use of the mobility and tap solutions, where the bank agents, DSAs, can go to those remote areas where there are areas where people are not even aware of, kind of, we spoke about policies that the government is rolling out. And say, for example, there are a lot of self-serviced loans that are available. So customer centric, the so-called STP, when we say there is digitization, we are introducing a lot of straight through processes where the customers just log in and get their loans disbursed within 5 to 10 minutes. And there are certain areas where people are not even aware of this. So maybe there should be an initiative that we take these lending solutions to the customer doorstep. So take it through mobile applications, and when it goes to the remote areas, provide in all different vernacular languages. Yeah. So these are kind of areas where both from the technology and from the process perspective, there can be some push, so that this is becoming more accessible.
Thanks, ma'am. So I think thanks for providing that context on digitization. We will dive in shortly into the specifics on the loan origination front and the documentation front. Before that, why exactly is accessibility important? Right? Because there's a big issue in this digitization push today. Because a lot of digital processes for the end user in India look like this on screen, right? So I would like to ask the audience, what do you see on screen? What can you make out on screen? I don't think anyone on this call understands what exactly is happening on screen right now, right? Um, because it's in a language we just do not understand. Yet, as implementers, as uh, lending institutions, all on this call, we often assume that our digital processes are easily accessible to everyone. But in actuality, for a large volume of borrowers, the experience of the digital process is the one you are having right now, seeing this screen, right? You just see a lot of things you don't understand, and you have to go through it, and you have to actually click on buttons, go through text you don't understand, and you have to do it in a high stakes financial transaction for you, right? And this is the reason a lot of digital projects will fail, right? If the accessibility question is not addressed, right? Because due to lack of accessibility, what happens is branch staff will not trust the process. So they'll prefer to opt for the physical process that's available at the branch. And customers will themselves, due to being unfamiliar, prefer or request the physical process due to unfamiliarity with the digital process, right? And no matter how much the push from above comes, right? And I think that's most people on this call, you will be making decisions in a central office about we need to implement this digital process and things like that. Ultimately, nothing you do in the central office matters if the branch staff and customers do not actually adapt to the flow, right? So if they don't adapt, your digital process will fail 100%, right? We've seen this with a lot of BFSI companies. A top-down push is only effect like a top-down push is okay to get a project started. It's not, it doesn't work to actually get a project scaled, right? And that's the real point of accessibility, right? And the topic of this webinar, it's to actually bridge this gap. It's to make through proper accessibility, you will make the branch staff comfortable with a digital flow, and you make customers prefer digital to physical. Accessibility, therefore, is a critical operational priority for lenders who want digital projects to actually work. And it's not just an operational imperative. RBI is also pushing accessibility majorly, right? In almost all RBI directions, if you see over the past few years, um, RBI has mandated a major form of accessibility in the form of vernacularization of all customer communication, right? And it's also actually walked the talk and penalized lenders who fail to comply with this mandate with fines or sometimes worse, right? So accessibility, one, it's an operational imperative, but it's also a very critical regulatory imperative. And we can see RBI also moving in that direction, right? Yet still existing RFPs that lenders issue for tech solutions across the board fail to prioritize or have accessibility as a criteria, right? It's often almost dismissed as a bell or whistle or something good to have. It's never seen as a core feature to have, right? So it's time to change this. So we will now, in this webinar, tell you what exact accessibility features and capabilities you actually need at each stage of the loan dispersal journey, right? And I think we'll start at the very beginning with the loan application process. Here, I want to bring in Gayatri ma'am. Ma'am, Sysarc specializes in digitally transforming the application leg with vast experience across multiple banks and use cases. Can you elaborate one on the on-ground realities that block access at the very application stage itself? I think you hinted at that earlier. And also specifically, what do lenders need to start demanding from their LOS systems or ensuring in their LOS systems to actually meet these on-ground realities and bridge the accessibility gap here?
So yes, so we are starting with the originations. The starting point of any loan application, loan
Yes.
origination is actually making the application. Yes.
So the next slide. Yeah. Sorry. Just
So
switch.
when
Yeah.
we are talking about applying for a loan, yeah. So we spoke about the evolution that the lending has come through. Yeah, previously, it was we said only the users have to go to the branch, carry bundles of papers, get it verified manually. So that is how they have to make multiple trips even to ensure that the application is in the right format and it's going to the next stage. But now see, we have said digitization. Yes, we are introducing kind of mobile applications, customer facing applications. Yes, we are doing that, and that is a step forward in terms of making the application process accessible. Yeah. But what are the challenges in that which we have to overcome to make it reachable? This accessibility has to be made reachable as well to the end users. All this we are talking, this the technology evolution, process evolution, all of these are, in my opinion, are only a means towards the end. The end is that this should be accessible to the end user of the the consumer of the lending business. So when we go into these applications, when I do the applications, what are the challenges on ground that we face? Okay, I say we give a mobile application. Yes, but when we go to remote areas, do we have enough connectivity? Because we say remote areas, there is lack of connectivity. So what can we do? Then in that case, we should look at maybe how much of offline data my feet on the street can collect. Yeah. So there should not be any hindrance in at least collecting that data. So we take that customer into our system. So this is inclusiveness. We get them into the system. This is made reachable to those sectors or consumers. Yeah. Again, so not all DSAs. When most of the banks, when they say bring your own device, then in that case, not everybody is having the high end device. So we should design the system in such a way that it is lightweight and it can work even on low end devices, and design it in such a way that what are the key data points that are needed that has to be captured, we take them into the system. Yeah. And see, yes, we are going to the remote areas, we are getting collecting information. There are some cases where you do some discussion with the customer to get that data, capture it. We ask them to look at the tab and fill in some. But if it's all in English, not every customer is comfortable with that. So we have to provide solutions in vernacular languages, so multiple languages, so the customers feel comfortable. So will the staffs be who are taking these solutions to the end users or the customers. Yeah. So yes, we give that. Say for example, we take this to the customers, and after that, how do the customers, or for that matter even the DSAs, track the status? So the way that we design the systems should be in such a way that whenever a person, a feet on the street or DSA who's going outside getting the data and pushing it into our mainstream, there should be a seamless integration. At any point in time, these people who are representing our lending providers, who are going out and getting the customers, they should have access to see what happened to what they sourced. So this should be a seamless integration with the branch as well as the assisted journey. These assisted journeys are nothing but where the DSAs or the feet on the street is collecting that information and bringing it back to our system. Yeah. And so the other accessibility is that, say for example, it should be easy to roll out any kind of quick, say for example, small ticket loans. During festival you want to roll out some loans to the customers directly. Yeah, the system should be designed in such a way that the lender, the service provider, should be able to kind of configure and roll out these loans. Yeah. There'll be high demand during some festivals, or during some peak seasons for any agriculture, or for example we have seen such increase in terms of kind of vehicle loans and all that during the festival season. And one such area where the LOS can further strengthen or come in and help the lenders is making it more easy for them to roll out such kind of products, so they can take it to the customers at the time of the need. These are the areas, in my opinion, we have to kind of concentrate on, focus, and make it more accessible to the end users.
Right. That's six very concrete things you need to ensure at the application stage. Thank you, ma'am. And I think at this point, you wanted to share an application to go beyond the theoretical understanding you've given. You wanted to share an example of a way that this can actually be achieved. And I think it was a very interesting story.
So yeah, that is right. See, we spoke about digitization, right? And we spoke about straight through processes. Yeah, this has been in the system for the past 5 years. As I said, it has got more focus, especially for small ticket loans. Yeah, there are loans like the Mudra schemes where Sishu Kishore Tarun. When it is very small ticket loan, everything gets disbursed within kind of 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. So that is how the journey is. And especially we had a scenario where one of the customers was doing his video KYC from the scene. So the accessibility has reached, and we have seen, yes, certain customers, there is huge increase in the usage of such products. Yeah. And definitely technology has helped in this, we have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. So ultimately, these are the capabilities you need in your LOS for the application process to make it accessible. If you do it, you can even take loan applications from the C, right? There is actually no limit to where you can lend, how you can lend, if you have those accessibility features baked in, right? So that's the application process. Now let's cover the underwriting process, right? Where again, I'll bring you in, Gayatri, ma'am. Because, ma'am, the next stage of origination, last mile of origination, so to speak, right, is the actual underwriting and sanction stage. Usually, people see it as simple pattern matching. What are actual on-ground accessibility gaps that people often miss out on, and what are the capabilities you need in your origination system to actually bridge this gap?
Right. So yeah, when we say this, underwriting and making the decision and sanctioning, that is actually a very key part in the entire, loan origination life cycle. When we say the loan origination, it actually goes from the origination until it gets kind of disbursement is initiated or sanction is approved. Yeah. In this underwriting and deciding the credit worthiness of the borrower is a very key aspect. Yeah, because obviously when we say deciding, that is the decision making, right? So what happens is, in traditional lending, what we have seen, as I said, we had been through this industry for 30 years, we know how it has gone through. So mostly the underwriting or the decisioning of the credit worthiness is taking into consideration the structured financial footprint. Say for example, as we said, uh, are you employed, is there, do you have continuous salary going into a particular bank account? Can we look at your bank statement? Do you have ITR? When it comes to business, is there a GST, is there a balance sheet? Yes, these are all available with particular sector of the consumers. Yeah, this is not available with all the sectors. So how do we serve this section of the consumers? That is where we have to rely on not these traditional data, but we should look at what kind of alternate data we can use. Yeah. For example, for a small kirana shop owner, or a simple vegetable seller or a fruit seller who are doing the selling on the streets, yeah, they do need money. They do come for lending, but they don't have all this structured information. So we should have options in the LOS where we can provide them. The underwriting should look into their UPI transactions. If it is a dairy farmer, is there a way to fetch, for example, the milk pouring chart? So there are APIs which should be utilized, and those should be taken into consideration when deciding the eligibility or the credit worthiness. Yeah, this is one aspect. Yeah. And when I also mentioned about what kind of process changes should be done, so that the accessibility can be taken to the wider audience. When I say the process changes, especially we have seen in some customers, when it comes to the small ticket loans, yes, the process is slim. They define the workflow in such a way it is not burdened with so much of checking and going into such heavy weight structured data. So there should be flows defined in such a way that they make use of such alternate data, and make these lending accessible to this sector. Yeah. When it comes to then the approval, okay, once there's always a maker checker when it comes to lending, obviously, because there is money involved.
Right.
There has to be proper due diligence in what is being done in the process. Okay. Yes, and that's why there is a kind of approval process. There are different classes and hierarchies, and each class make decision. Yeah. When it comes to even at a checker level, there is a kind of lot of manual work. If you submit, say for example, physical documents, say for example I submit my bank statement analysis, or then in that case it's not like somebody manually goes through that. How do we reduce time in that? Then LOS should make use of all these fintech services, make it as much of taking data from authorized sources electronically, rather than going through the manual and hard copy process. That has to happen. Yeah. And when we use such kind of decision making, and we define a clear BRE, there is also transparency that is provided to the end user or the customer. Yeah, previously, when you submit an application to the bank and we get a response saying, we are not able to satisfy your requirement, it is not clear as to what is the reason behind the decision. But the system should be designed in such a way that the business rule engines rules are defined, and we can be very transparent. These are the reasons for which the application is we are not able to take it forward. Yeah. And as we mentioned, this is from the maker perspective. When it comes to the checker also, there are hierarchical flows: who approves what at what limit. Yeah. All these, the system has should have the capability to seamlessly define all this in the workflow. Yeah. So that it's not stuck at different tables. Yeah. So it should electronically move from one stage to the other. The system should have the facility to move it automatically, rather than dependent on manual intervention. Yeah. And yeah, there might be cases where there are cases where the approving authority, high-end official, should have to sit on the system, look at all the data, and then approve. We should again kind of remove this and provide an option where higher authorities also should be given the ability to do the sanctioning on the go. Yeah. So those kind of features will help further increase the accessibility. And these features are there in the LOIS. It makes it more accessible from the operations perspective, in the sense who are using the system. So operational accessibility will be kind of make it ease of operation.
I think, thank you, Gayatri ma'am. And I think one key learning, so these are four things for all the lenders on call. For the underwriting stage, we've told you six things at the application stage. These are four things you need to ensure at the underwriting and sanction stage. And I think with this particular stage, what Gayatri ma'am, what you mentioned, one key thing is ultimately automation as accessibility, right? Two out of these four features, or three out of these four features, are ultimately automation features, which usually are not seen with the prism of accessibility, that it's seen usually from an operational efficiency standpoint. And as a result, it's evaluated through that standpoint. And some lenders take up some automation capabilities based on other considerations, I think start seeing automation like sanctioning on the go or API driven approval process that cuts short time also as an accessibility issue, because
Yes,
especially for I think a lot of priority sector borrowers, time for them is also very
absolutely,
valuable because their wages
absolutely,
are in time, right? So the
absolutely.
longer you take for a loan, it may be trivial for you to take 2 extra days for a loan, but for that borrower, those 2 extra days mean a lot, right? So an automation can actually provide a bridge to accessibility, which is usually not seen, like automation is usually not evaluated through that lens. Um,
Absolutely, like yeah, end of the day, I think all these towards, as I mentioned, all of these are should be looked at a means to the end, which is nothing but accessible lending to the society. That is what should be the end goal.
right. So there you now have a comprehensive set of requirements at the origination stage for both applications and underwriting. Without these requirements, you can face massive drop-offs at these stages purely due to accessibility, especially in a digital-only flow, right? The next stage, which is something I'll cover, is of course the documentation stage, a document and KFS stage, right? And lenders usually want to switch to digital at this stage to something like e-sign for the promise of, okay, this stage will be completely paperless, right? But we've actually seen that the number one reason for failure here at this stage, where it goes back to paper, is because the branch staff or customers on the ground prefer physical. So you have your e-sign process there, they don't use it, right? And the main reason is actually accessibility challenges, right? So there are five primary on-ground realities that your document system needs to account for, right? One, similar to the application stage, there's bad connectivity on the ground, right? Which means your e-sign system cannot just rely on like a very fast Wi-Fi connection to work. It must work in 2G, 3G connectivity zones, right? And because of the nature of how e-sign is architected in India, you cannot even have offline e-sign happen, right? So you must actually be able to do the process with as low online connectivity as possible. So that's one, right? The second is, of course, the RBI requires vernacular communications, especially on your contracts. So this means that the agreements must be in a vernacular and the e-sign interface, right? It's the screenshots we showed you earlier, but there's a lot of text involved. There's actually consent the person has to give in the e-sign interface, right? That must also be delivered in vernacular, just like an ATM. Third is, of course, borrowers, if they have a computing device, it's a mobile, right? So you cannot send them things on email. A lot of e-sign demos show you email flows. So actually, when the final electronic agreement is done, you need to send it to the customer, right? So ultimately, if they have no device, you print it out. But if they do have a device, you need to have a system that automatically sends it to them via their preferred channel like WhatsApp or SMS. Otherwise, they will ultimately fail to receive the document. And in fact, even RBI's digital lending directions mandates that you automatically send the signed document to the customer on SMS, right? So it's also a regulatory mandate to have this final agreement sent to the customer on the mobile channel, right? Fourth is a problem we see often when lenders take Aadhaar e-sign, right? There is often an assumption that, okay, Aadhaar is very widely penetrated, so it will be fine. This is true that many people have an Aadhaar, but when you actually peel back a layer as you go to more rural and lower income segments, you will find many accessibility challenges with Aadhaar e-sign itself, right? For example, they may have an Aadhaar, but they may not have a mobile linked to their Aadhaar. So how do they do? What do they do then, right? With OTP sign, right? Or their fingerprints may be faded. What do you do then with the biometric sign, right? So the key here is not just to have one mode of Aadhaar e-sign, it's to have a bouquet of Aadhaar and non-Aadhaar options available for signing and not just restrict yourself to one particular mode of signing, right? So you need a system that provides multiple Aadhaar from OTP to biometric to iris to face all in one system, and it should auto switch or auto cascade between each other in case of failure of one particular mode, right? Giving the end signer as many options as possible to sign. And of course, as a backup, you also need non-Aadhaar methods for edge cases where Aadhaar itself is just not possible, right? So many people see Aadhaar e-sign, I will implement Aadhaar e-sign as a silver bullet. It's not so simple. You actually need variety built in, and you need that variety available in real time on the ground, right? And the fifth and final reality is there is an increasing cases of Aadhaar fraud, Aadhaar e-sign fraud, where people use a wrong Aadhaar to e-sign, right? And the standard response here is to use a name match, where if the name on the Aadhaar mismatches with the name on the application, the e-sign is blocked. Now, in theory, again, this is good, but the problem is in India, there is a lot of genuine mismatch, like an extra letter on your Aadhaar card or a slight difference in spelling on your loan application compared to your Aadhaar, right? So a very rigid fraud prevention actually blocks such people and actually excludes them from the digital signing process altogether, right? So ultimately, you need, and now it's possible with technology, your document system needs to not only have fraud prevention, but it needs to have an algorithm that checks the fraud prevention and ensures that genuine cases of discrepancy do not actually get blocked, right? Because if they get blocked, that's an exclusion right then and there for no fault of their own, right? So these are ultimately the capabilities, 5 capabilities you need for your document leg of the journey. So once you solve this from origination to documentation, you can finally disburse loans fully digitally at scale, right? We've also prepared a handy accessibility checklist for you, the learnings from this webinar, what you need at the origination stage and what you need at the documentation stage, what you need at the entire dispersal leg, right? So if you want to evaluate your LOS and document systems, if you want to measure the accessibility score of your current digitized lending processes, you can take this checklist and evaluate, right? If you have been facing problems with digitization efforts and scaling, take this accessibility checklist and run it on your process, right? I guarantee you will find some accessibility failures that are causing the failure to scale up the digitization, right? That are preventing your branch or customers from actually utilizing the digital process. Just on this slide a bit, ma'am, we've covered, I think, 11, actually now we've covered, I think, 15 key requirements, like a checklist, right from application to the document stage. Just wanted to ask you a question before we move to the final portion of the webinar. Uh, you've seen lenders who've actually prioritized accessibility, right? A lot of these features on checklists. So what have they done right? Because there are some lenders who are actively prioritizing this. Like, what have they done right?
Yeah, so actually, as we said, the accessibility, now there are ways, right? One is that most of them now going on kind of mobile first approach, where they are taking the banks to the customers. Since accessibility, again, in my opinion, is more towards those sectors. Some of them are not even aware such facilities are available, and if they are aware, do they have enough guidance to take them through the process? So these are the areas that some of the lenders have taken steps and gone in and said, their prioritization is mobile first. Let me get the DSAs going to the doorstep of the end users. Okay, so that is one. And then we said a lot of these small tickets when you give the straight through processes. Yeah, one is that through the mobility you go give it to the end users, because the DSAs go and they educate them. Yes, you have this opportunity. You don't have to go to kind of what to say, unorganized sector for high interest loans. That is one which is useful for the end user, and it also increases the leads into the lenders. Yeah, and the other is those cases where a lot of STPs have been introduced by our customers. And as you clearly mentioned, though we introduced STPs, yeah, those are small ticket loans. We have to identify frequent checks on what are the rules or checks which are causing these customers to drop off at certain stages. Yeah, so there are customers who do this frequently, and in such cases, the digitized loan journey has scaled to a greater extent. Yeah. So the differentiators are actually being able to, that is also mentioned in what the LOS have. LOS should have the feature, should be the ability to dynamically change the rules. There are certain rules that might not be applicable to certain sector. When we roll out, we say yes, this can be applicable, but we should have the ability to change it so it can scale. Yeah, and the other is making the feet on the street more comfortable with what they are doing. So you said, yeah, push from the top is one, and the other is the solution should be in such a way, it is in such a way they interact with the operations, like whoever is using the DSA, and ensure that they are comfortable taking it to the end users. Okay, we have seen these two key differentiators which have helped scale this digitization and scaling the reach, so it is made accessible to the end users. This is what Aditya, I would say, has whatever we have noticed has played a key role in differentiating actually.
Thank you, ma'am. And yes, we will share this checklist with you. You can use it. In case you need out-of-the-box accessibility, you can check out also the CISARC plus legality joint offering. So what it essentially is you and your customer, between you and the customer, you need several steps to ultimately disburse a loan. The CISARC legality joint offering takes care of all steps in between, right? From the origination side to the documentation to the disbursement side, and I think then back to the tracking side back on CISARC, right? So it's out of the box accessibility. Both CISARC and legality, it's like a unified offering. So for you, it's pretty much one integration that you need, and you get 100% accessible flows, takes care of everything you need operationally, right? Katri ma'am, anything you also want to add on the capabilities of this joint solution?
Yeah, absolutely. Like one point that you mentioned, actually is very key. When you said in the documentation, yes, there is one. Like the accessibility is that it is accessible to the end users, and also the solution should be in such a way that who are actually eligible are not, they are not missing out on the opportunity. As you said, yes, the other name, there are variations, there are slight differences here and there. When the customer goes to that last stage, and of no fault of the customer, if the customer is not going to get the loan, that is a major loss, both from the customer as well as the lender. So these might look like kind of small tweaks, but obviously has a major impact. Yeah. So has a major role in making this more accessible. So end-to-end accessibility, yes, it is available in the joint offering, and yeah. So as you said, accessibility is was previously assumed as for granted. Yeah. Now this has to
Yes,
stand out as a separate attribute, yeah, in any solution. So
right.
when we do all of these, is it actually reaching the end users? That is very key. Yeah. And the key factor that determines is accessibility.
Right.
Accessibility at all levels. Yeah, I think we touched upon all of that. So
Yeah.
customer accessibility to the customer, accessibility to the operations, who is doing using the system, and obviously it should also be regulatory accessibility. Yeah, if I want to look
Yeah.
at something that is already done, do I have access to that? Yeah, that is also part of the solution. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all of
I
this
think,
end to end makes a good accessible solution. Yeah.
yeah, I think let's dive into detail a bit
Yeah.
in the next slide. So ultimately, every touch point, everything that we have mentioned on this call, on this webinar, end to end is there in the joint offering. You do not have to speak to CISARC and legality separately. You can directly, it's from your perspective, it's a unified offering. It's just that CISARC has solved the documentation last mile gap with legality plugged in for the paperwork journey, and CISARC handles the rest. For you, it's basically plugging into just one system, right? Onboarding checks, digital verification, paperwork, and post disbursal, right? End to end, with all accessibility flows currently built in and more accessibility flows obviously constantly on the way for both CISARC and legalities product teams. And it's very easy to actually get started. If we can go to the next slide, right? And you can go to the next slide also. We'll share this with you. And the journey, this is just a back end view of the journey, just in case you want to evaluate this in a more technical level. We'll again share this deck with you. We won't go through the steps here, but this is more for your benefit when we share it with you if you want to do a deeper technical evaluation. Uh, how the flow is orchestrated in a combined way. And in case you want to reach out to us, feel free, and you want to use the joint offering, feel free to reach out to us on the email addresses that we've given here. We'll also drop it in the Zoom chat, and we'll of course also share the deck and recording with you in the next 48 hours, right? So you can either reach out to CISARC or legality if you want to avail the joint solution, joint offering, right? With that, our spoken portion comes to a close. Would love to get questions from the audience. So you can either ask in the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand and we'll give you mic access, and give you the ability to verbally ask your question. Ma'am, while we wait for questions, is there anything else you want to add?
So, so actually, as I said, this is continuously evolving, and as I said, the accessibility will be it is a key factor which will actually fuel the evolution also. Though it is something, as I said, it has always been kind of considered, taken for granted. But going forward, I think this will be the key driver towards how the systems are evolving, because in all areas, whether we call digitization, as I said, while we are talking digitization, we are going into AI. In all areas there is evolution, but all of these going forward, we should keep accessibility in mind.
Yeah,
There is,
ma'am, we've received one question, which is this everything we've discussed also applicable to secured loans end to end? I think the traditional view is that secured loans generally you don't need it as much as unsecured loans, but I think that is also evolving. Nature of secured loans is also evolving.
yeah, so in the nature of secured loans, there is an automation, that there are journeys which are happening kind of end to end, leveraging all kind of fintech services, so we can verify the data and the eligibility from authenticated sources. Yeah. So
Yes.
still, there are a lot of STPs on small ticket and unsecured loans, but this is entering into this area of secured loans as well. So that
Yes.
is an large scope to further expand in that area, actually.
Yes. From a technological level, the solution works as good as it for secured loans as it does for unsecured loans. So there's no difference. You can choose to plug it into whatever lending process you want to. It can be customized for your use case. So yes, secured, unsecured, whatever loan product you have, it can plug into that loan product. There is absolutely no limitation. So if your organization is game for it, we will enable it for you.
Yes.
That's not an issue. And in fact, accessibility is now becoming important in secured loans as you get smaller ticket
Yes.
secured loans in smaller towns, rural areas, right? SME loans, right? So accessibility remains important, even though
Always. Yeah.
it remains important even for secured loans, especially the nature of secured loans evolving. Like maybe in corporate lending, for example, you may not need full
Yes.
accessibility, but a vast majority of secured loans are not corporate lending anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
And the second follow-up question was, can this be used by fintech partners who are into aggregation and loan distribution? So, ma'am, I think the question is, does the fintech partner consume the solution? Do they just integrate with the solution? Is it operated by the RE? I think the question is related to that. Like, so can the fintech partner take the solution and use it on behalf of how does that work basically?
Yeah, see, the solutions we are saying who are into aggregation and loan distribution. Yes, see, end of the day, this is like, the solution is defined when we say an end-to-end straight through process. Yeah, we have series of stages through which the origination goes through. Yeah, and there are areas where you can configure. Like Aditya, you are saying, if you want to go for secure lend, you have to define the process. What is the workflow? How you are going to take the stages through the loan origination? Yes, if that can be done, yes, the solution can be used by any lending service provider. So the solution can be used, and technically it is all feasible. The question is what are you asking? I'm sorry, can you elaborate a bit on the question? Can the solution be used by fintech partners is what we are saying, right?
Yes.
So the solution, yes, it can be used by any lending service provider. It is an S.
I think, ma'am, also the question, just to read a bit into the question, is if the fintech partner is just the originator and not the actual lender, right? So it's an LSP, pure LSP, but there's a
Okay.
regulated entity behind whose
Yes.
instance would actually be running this solution. I think it would be the
Yes.
RE's instance that would be running the solution and not the
Uh,
fintech, right?
yeah. So there are different, when we say the loan origination, there is straight through process, and also there is assisted and assisted journeys where the lead alone is captured. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, we've got the follow-up. It's
Yeah.
basically a fintech partner is a DSA
Yeah.
for the NBFC. So there's an NBFC, there's a fintech partner, right?
Mm.
Fintech partner is not lending off their own books. They
Yes.
are
Yes.
lending on behalf of the NBFC. So how or the bank? So in that
Uh,
sense, yes, the solution, yes, what we have seen is that Fintech partners are systems integrators with both the LOS and the document system, right? They provide that role. But
Yes.
ultimately, the RE needs to manage the data and control the data, right? Because I think especially under RBI norms, the core lending data must remain with the RE, with the
Yes.
bank and NBFC.
Absolutely. So the DSAs, yes, the service providers and DSAs, there is different stages, right? The DSAs can use the mobility or even web responsive apps to secure the loans, and that can be seamlessly integrated into the backend with the NBFCs. So that kind of solution can be done.
Yes. So in NetNet, yes, we can help you stitch the flow.
Yes.
Who manages, say, who owns the LOS leg and
Yes.
that controls the data will be seen at the implementation stage. Usually that's the bank or NBFC. But what we have seen is we do work with a lot of fintech partners who banks and NBFCs use to actually stitch together the entire integration. So NetNet, the end outcome that you want will be achieved. So you can reach out to
Yeah,
us.
there,
Yeah.
there are also areas where we have seen the coordination and co-lending banks kind of getting into partnership with the NBFCs and doing that. That solution is also there as the whole LOS. Yeah.
I hope that answered your question. In case it didn't, please ask follow-ups. We are here to answer only. You can also raise your hand. We'll give you mic access. All right, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? We'll otherwise close in 2 minutes unless we receive a question. So as I mentioned, we'll share the recording and the deck with you within the next 48 hours. And feel free to reach out to us on the email IDs provided on screen. And if you have any questions that you remembered right after the webinar ends, you can reply to our webinar recording email with the questions and we'll be happy to answer them for you.